welcome to part 6 of the Harry Potter Odyssey, my in-depth review of the Harry Potter Wizards Collection Blu-ray, DVD and digital copy box set extravaganza. Yeah, so rolling on, Half-Blood Prince, Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. Let's just get straight into it, shall we? The film itself, I didn't see it until after it came out, and it was almost a case of, oh yeah, that film's out, let's watch this. And it was interesting. It was just weird to see, really. I don't know, because just me blinking on my light is going dim a little. I guess you'll see on the video. I think it's just me blinking. The light's really in my face. Anyway, the film itself, Half-Blood Prince. 6th year of Hogwarts, you know. Everyone knows Voldemort's back now. Shit's properly gotten real. So Harry is kind of wrestling with the fact that he suspects that Draco Malfoy is up to something and is in league with Voldemort now. And so Malfoy's doing some strange stuff we don't quite know about. Snape may or may not be involved. Harry is suspicious of everything. And to start the whole thing off, Dumbledore actually picks Harry up from the Dursleys. Or actually no, he doesn't. In the book he does. I really wish they kept that in the film. I was like, you know, another thing, it really grinds my gears. I mean, in Half-Blood Prince, Dumbledore turns up. That wasn't me, was it? The light went funny then. Okay. Dumbledore turns up. He picks Harry up from the Dursleys, and he kind of gives them kind of a backhanded kind of insult about how they've treated Harry quite badly. And I really loved that scene in the book. But for some reason, Harry is out and in some kind of cafe in the London Underground, kind of chatting up a girl. And it's kind of like, oh yeah, because Harry's a teenager now and he's kind of, you know, dating and stuff. Just so you know, this is weird to see. I don't know why they put that in. Don't have a big problem with it. It just seemed odd to me. And again, these things creeping in where Michael Gambon playing Dumbledore just really irks me. You know, like there's this bit where he holds his hand out to Harry and he's like, you know, grab my hand, because he's going to apparate and take Harry with him. And Harry kind of looks at them as if to say, where are we going? And Dumbledore just goes, do as I say. Dumbledore would never say anything as harsh as that. I mean, it's not a harsh thing to say, but Dumbledore, the character would never go, do as I say, you know? It's just odd, I don't know. And Dumbledore takes Harry to see Professor Slughorn, or Horace Slughorn, who becomes Professor Slughorn. He recruits him to be the new potions master, as now Snape has taken over the Defense Against Dark Arts position, which everyone is a bit ooh about, you know. And Slughorn, played brilliantly by Jim Broadbent. I imagined him slightly different, but Jim Broadbent just completely nailed the character 100%. He's kind of a character who's a former teacher at Hogwarts, and he loves how he's kind of taught famous people or people who've gone on to do great things. He kind of collects students, and you know, he covets kind of the influence that he has from the people who he knows and who he is, you know, kind of brought into his little group he calls the Slug Club, you know. So we find out throughout the course of the film, Dumbledore wants Harry to let Slughorn collect him and kind of get into Slughorn's good books and kind of retrieve a memory from him, because this whole film is setting up the final act to this whole series. Throughout the book, you know, Dumbledore is bringing Harry into his office at night and taking him into the Pensieve, into memories that Dumbledore has collected over the years that pertain to Voldemort. And man, I wish they'd gone full out with this, but I totally understand why they couldn't. I mean, the film's 2.5 hours as it is. I think it would have been 3.5 hours if they'd done everything I would have liked to have seen, because we see like the early days of Voldemort. I think the best one they kept in, which is where we see Dumbledore meet Voldemort for the first time when he's Tom Riddle, a young boy in an orphanage. Great scene, and he's played by Hero Fiennes, who is, I think, Ralph Fiennes' nephew. I thought he was kind of good at times and kind of a bit just dull. Others are just a bit one note, you know, like I can do things without touching them. I can make people hurt if I want, you know. But then at other times you kind of acted quite well, so it was kind of up and down. But we see other things. We see Dumbledore as a teenager. We see him come back to Hogwarts and trying to get a position as a teacher. We see him kind of as he's about to maybe murder someone, and as he's kind of going to these different objects and stuff. And we see memories of his mother and all that kind of thing, and it's really, really cool stuff in the book. I mean, if you've seen the film and you haven't read the book, you should read the book because it's fantastic. And the Half-Blood Prince comes from the fact that Harry decides to take potions because he wants to be an Auror, a dark wizard catcher, but Snape wouldn't accept anything than, you know, the best marks of potions, so Harry just thought, well, I'm never going to be an Auror. But of course, now that Slughorn is the potions master, he can take potions and get all the grades he needs to become an Auror. So he goes to potions, but he hasn't got the book. So he gets a book from the storeroom, and it's got all these little scribblings on them, these, you know, kind of corrections and stuff. And it says in there, this book is the property of the Half-Blood Prince. So Harry starts taking notes from what these corrections have been made by the Half-Blood Prince, and he starts becoming this whiz at potions, much to Hermione's annoyance. And of course, it's that thing again where, you know, we got a book that is kind of being involved in, you know, just it's kind of almost like a hark back to the Riddle's diary, you know. And I think Ginny says that, at least in the book, she says that, you know, I went through some really bad shit with a book that kind of was talking to me, and you're doing kind of the same thing here. So yeah, that's kind of the crux of the film, and just the memories and trying to find out how Voldemort is not dead, how he's managed to live, and all this kind of thing. Dumbledore's got a theory, but he needs that final memory to kind of solidify his theory from Slughorn. And Slughorn's given him the memory, but he's tampered with it because he's ashamed of what he might have said to a young Tom Riddle. So Harry's job is to secure that memory in its pure form. Another theme throughout the film was kind of the teenage romance. You know, we got, I think Ron gets his girlfriend in Lavender, which Hermione is not very happy about. Harry, of course, ends up with Ginny, which, you know, I never saw that coming in the books, but there you go. What I didn't like about this in the film was that they had Harry and Ginny's first kiss. They made it exactly like Harry and Cho's first kiss. They mentioned that in part 5, but I guess, again, you've seen the films, you've read the books. If you're watching this video and you've watched this far, then you know exactly what happens. But, you know, the kiss in Order of the Phoenix, the book and the film, fine. In the book, they kiss after the big Quidditch match win. In front of everyone, it's just kind of this moment that just happens with Harry not planning it, and he kisses Ginny, and then he's like, oh god. And he looks over at Ron, and Ron's kind of like, alright then, you know, that kind of thing. And it kind of just, it got the Ron thing out of the way, and it was kind of a big kind of celebratory moment at the same time. In the film, they just made it a carbon fucking copy of the kiss with Cho, where they're just kind of alone in a room, and they're like slowly walking up to each other, and then kiss. And it was just, it wasn't bad. I mean, it was a bit awkward, to be honest, but I mean, I just I don't know why they didn't keep it as it was in the book, because again, as it says, it also gets rid of the whole Ron issue with that, you know. And it was a cool moment in the book. I'm guessing the only reason they did it is because Ron and Lavender have this kiss while everyone's celebrating, and that kind of ticks off Hermione or whatever. So I don't know. But this film is definitely the funniest of all 8, I have to say. There's some really funny stuff revolving around this relationship stuff, and we get to see the Weasley's shop, Weasley's Wizard Wheezers. That's a lot of fun. When I went to the Harry Potter tour, the studio tour, we got to see the actual set and all the kind of little bells and whistles and stuff, and there's a lot of fun stuff in there. So yeah, that was cool to see. The Draco stuff's interesting. Tom Felton, who plays Draco, really gets to kind of test his acting chops out a bit stronger in this film, and kind of becomes a real conflicted character. I really enjoyed his performance in the film. There's a really cool scene at the beginning. We have Snape at Spinner's End, where he lives, and Bellatrix and, what's his sister's name? Narcissa Malfoy and Bellatrix, they go to Snape, and they make an unbreakable vow with Snape to protect Draco, because Narcissa, Draco's mother, is worried that the task that he's been given by the Dark Lord is going to end up killing him, so Snape is going to help him. So then throughout the film you're kind of wondering, you know, is this for real? Is Snape really, you know, fully in league with Voldemort? And that was something that in the Half-Blood Prince, the book, when it first came out, you were kind of like, whoa, right off the bat, there we go. He is with Voldemort, you know, because it had always been in question throughout the whole series up until that point. Right at the beginning of the book, it's like, bam, there you go. Snape's a villain, and it's just like, whoa. And of course, we'd find out otherwise later on. But that was quite a big shock for me when I read the book, and it'd be interesting to know how people, when they first saw the film, reacted. But I can't, you know, speak to that. So the culmination of the film, the big set piece, is Dumbledore taking Harry with him to find one of these Horcruxes. I love the idea of the Horcruxes. I mean, when I first read the scene where the Horcruxes are introduced, where Slughorn is explaining about them to the young Tom Riddle, it gave me goosebumps, because it just seemed, the word Horcrux just seemed so sinister and creepy, and just the idea of splitting your soul, you know, and the fact that Voldemort might have done it 7 times, it's just such a fucking awesome idea. It's a stroke of genius. I love it, absolutely love it. And they did it well in the films, the idea of it and everything. And so Dumbledore thinks he knows where these Horcruxes are. Well, one of them is. It's a cave where, you know, there's some history with Tom Riddle. I don't think they explained that in the film. I think it's in one of the deleted scenes very briefly. And they go to this cave, and it's underground cave, the lake, and kind of an island, a crystal island, and there's like a basin with one of the Horcruxes inside. And Harry has to kind of, not feed, but how would you say it with water? He has to kind of give the water to Dumbledore. You don't feed water, do you? He makes Dumbledore drink the water, and Dumbledore's like, you know, I'm just telling you the story now, I don't know, but let me just see it through. He gives Dumbledore says, don't stop me, if whatever I do, make sure I drink all this. So he starts going mad and like sitting down and screaming and stuff, and kill me, and crying and all that kind of thing. And as much as they pushed it, and Michael Gambon did a great job, I still wish I'd seen more. And I always feel that, I guess, with the books, because the books he was screaming and crying, and I believe he said something that really links into a big part of the last book, in terms of his sister. We'll get to that. We'll get to that in the next 2 reviews. But yeah, they did that well. It became a bit Lord of the Rings at the end there, where he's waving the wand around with the fire and he looks like Gandalf. But they did a great job with that sequence. I enjoyed it a lot. It's the ending again. I really just thought, what have they done? I mean, it wasn't bad, but I just felt like they're trying to, I don't know, basically what happens, you know, Dumbledore and Harry, they come back to Hogwarts at the end. In the book, they come back, they're in Hogsmeade, and they see the Dark Mark above the castle. And there's this big battle that's broken out. The Death Eaters are in Hogwarts, people are firing off, you know, the bricks flying everywhere and stuff. None of that in this. I believe that they didn't do that because they wanted the final battle in Deathly Hallows Part 2 to have more resonance and meaning, if there wasn't already a battle in Half-Blood Prince. And I thought, well, they're 2 films separated, you know. And I'll just backtrack a bit. Because they did that, they decided to add a scene where the burrow gets burnt down in the middle of the film. And again, I just thought, I don't know, it just seemed like it was shoehorned in there just to have an action sequence, when really you could have had a great action sequence in Hogwarts. You know, you didn't have to like blow the whole budget and just blow a whole load all over the screen and be like, look at this is the best thing ever. Oh no, what are we going to do with the last film? Just, you know, do it how it was. You know, it wasn't like a huge battle, but it was a battle nonetheless. But whatever, it doesn't bother me that much. I'm just saying, you know, I think it's a bit of a stupid reason. That's just me. But the main problem I have, you know, Harry and Dumbledore, they get back to Hogwarts, and I guess it just speeds things up. I guess with the film is 2.5 hours long, fair enough, it just speeds it up. Okay, I guess it isn't a stupid reason. I just thought about it now, but there you go. My light is definitely fucking flickering. I'm sorry about that. Now, yes. So Dumbledore and Harry are at the top of the tower, you know, above Dumbledore's office, I believe, in the geography of the films. And Draco turns up, and Dumbledore kind of, just before that, he tells Harry to go downstairs. There's like this little kind of downstairs bit, and he's like, just go down there and stay there. And Draco turns up, and he's supposed to kill Dumbledore. He can't do it. So Snape turns up, the Death Eaters turn up, and then Snape turns up, and he's in that little place where Harry is, and Harry sees him, and Snape's like... And he goes up, and Dumbledore's standing at the edge of the precipice, or not the precipice, but the edge of the rampart. And Snape kind of just flourishes in, and Dumbledore goes, Severus, please. Snape kills him, Avada Kedavra. boom, Dumbledore flies off, and there's this beautiful shot of him falling. And Harry's there watching. Harry would not stand there and fucking watch as Dumbledore is being threatened by Draco, as Snape is about to kill him. As much as it shocks Harry that Snape does that. In the book, Dumbledore casts a spell that forces Harry against the wall. Okay, he's right there up with all the action, but he's against the wall, and his invisibility cloak is over him, and he can't move, and he's trying to move, and he's trying to, let me help, that kind of thing. As far as I remember, that's why he doesn't help. To me, to put Harry to obey Dumbledore's orders, to just go downstairs and just watch it all happen and be like, oh no, it just goes against the character for me. I just feel like, it just made more sense that Dumbledore puts a spell on him so he can't help, And in the book, Dumbledore is on his knees and he's pleased like, Severus, please, And that just sells the whole idea a lot more. With him going, Severus, please. Yes, it fits in with the story that we find out later on, but he had to sell it for the Death Eaters, in the book. That's why he was pleading with Snape. He's like, and he's almost, Severus, please, That was one, again, when I read that ending, I was just like, oh my god, rip my heart out, here you go, take it, J.K. Rowling. It was just like, unbelievable. There was this website called DumbledoreIsNotDead.com, and there were all these theories about how Dumbledore was still alive and that kind of thing, and I wanted to believe it, but, yeah. Again, dramatically, they did it well, that beautiful shot of Dumbledore falling, well, not beautiful, but yeah, it's beautiful, but, it's sad as well, powerful moment. And when all the everyone raises their wands up, we find out that Snape is the Half-Blood Prince and everything, and he's fully evil and all this kind of stuff. As far as we know. Overall, Half-Blood Prince is a fantastic film. I love it. I love the humor in it. It's funny. We get to see them growing up. I think they're at their funniest now, and there's no real room for humor in the next two films. So it was great for them to get them all out. I think David Yates, who I didn't mention, returned to direct this film as well. Did a great job. Really like Half-Blood Prince a lot. It's a great story. They executed it well. The actors are only getting better in terms of the kids and stuff. Jim Broadbent coming in new was great as well. I'm trying to think if there's anyone else who was new to this one. Not that jumps out to me anyway, but overall, again, love it. I love all these films. But again, I just have these little nitpicky things that bug me. But there you go. It is what it is. So let's get the Blu-ray itself. I feel like as the films get on, the Blu-rays look a lot better. This one was no different. Looked fantastic. Now let me just find my notes for all the special features. We have the maximum movie mode again, and it doesn't start for over a minute, and it's like, this doesn't bode well. They haven't put much effort into this one, and it's a slightly petty thing, but the boxes of the actors talking are square and not widescreen, and I was like, that's a bit weird. And then later on they become widescreen and then they're square again. It's really odd. I don't know why they just didn't have some consistency there. And the talking heads of the actors who are talking, like Emma Watson, Rupert Grint, Daniel Radcliffe and Tom Felton, they're shot with a black background, which is obviously there for them to put some kind of Hogwartsy kind of background over there. They just haven't done that, so it's just a plain black background. It just looks like they just didn't put that much effort into this. Though they have put extra effort into certain special effects, breakdowns, and behind the scenes pictures of the scenes that you're seeing on screen, kind of storyboards, visual effects, layers and stuff, and really cool things like that. Close-up looks of like Daily Prophet articles. There's some really cool stuff to be gleaned from it. There's one thing that I didn't even notice in the Weasley's Wizarding Wheezes shop. There's a scene where the camera's just panning around, you see people doing stuff, and there's like a girl who takes something, a young black girl, and her hair goes all frizzy, and they show how they made her hair all digital. And I thought, really? So I rewound it and watched it, and it looks really bad. Well, it doesn't look bad, but it just really stands out now that they've shown it, that they made it digital. So I thought, David Yates had a very good way of putting how Dumbledore is kind of getting Harry to be taken in by Slughorn. He says that Dumbledore's basically pimping Harry. So that was a great little quote. And another thing it shows you the visual effects breakdown of how Dumbledore touches Harry's head. And I'm thinking, why do they need to do that? And it just confirmed my kind of subconscious suspicion that Dumbledore's blackened, withered hand is all digital. That is a waste of money, surely. I mean, just put some black makeup on the hand, for fuck's sake. It was an all digital hand. Why would they do that? Like, I mean, I understand digital effects. You need certain things just can't be done in terms of physical, practical effects. But to make a whole hand digital, that was really weird. And I've actually now just realised that I've forgotten to put notes down for the rest of the special features. So I'm going to have to go do that now and then come back. Okay, we're back in the game. I'm just going to, basically, I've got the Blu-ray up here, so I'm just going to read off and tell you my thoughts on the special features. You'll probably see it reflected around here somewhere. Sorry about that. So I haven't got time to write the notes down. So the 6th part of the epic Creating the World of Harry Potter documentary series is focused on magical effects. And this is an hour-long, 4-minute documentary. Fantastic. We just see all the kind of visual effects stuff that go into these films, from the first film right over to the 6th film. Again, the last 2 films aren't covered as much, but there is a bit from Deathly Hallows as well, and we see certain things like that. Also, just like how the Howlers were created and the thought process behind that. How they had all the letters in the first film were practical. They built like a machine that would fire them out at a rapid pace. All that kind of stuff. I won't spoil too much about it, but it's a fantastic look into all the special effects, or the visual effects rather, and some of the practical effects as well, but mainly the visual side of it and that kind of thing. Really great stuff. Then we have Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince Behind the Magic, another Behind the Magic documentary. 46 minutes again. This is an ITV production, hosted by Ben Shepherd, and this time he actually gets to be in the film. He's an extra in a scene in the Weasley's Weez's shop for a brief second, and there's some funny stuff involved in that. And again, he just kind of takes you through the storyline of the film, and we get to hear from different actors. He interviews everybody from, like, you know, crew members to the cast members, and there's some just great stuff and great stories and great insight. Just a really, really cool little documentary there. And then we have, for me, probably the best part of this this Blu-ray, and it's fantastic that they included this. A brilliant documentary that came out in, I believe it was the end of 2007. ITV production again. It's a 49 or 50-minute documentary called J.K. Rowling: A Year in the Life. We follow her from 2006 to 2007, when she finishes writing Deathly Hallows and when Deathly Hallows is published. We get to see her signing books and reading the first chapter on the launch night. We get to see all sorts of things. We get to see pictures of her when she was a kid. This guy who made the film, he asks her personal questions and kind of delves into her psyche, into her thoughts on writing, on her life, how difficult her life was. They go back to where she wrote the books, and we see that who the person who lives in that flat in Scotland where she initially wrote the Philosopher's Stone, in their bedroom is a bookcase with Harry Potter books, and you know, she starts crying because of this. And it's a brilliant documentary. I've seen it 3 or 4 times, and it's just fantastic that they included this on the set. It's a brilliant one, really, really good. Next up we have Close Up with the cast of Harry Potter. This is a really cool one. It's hosted by Matthew Lewis, who plays Neville, and they call him Alfie, but he's listed as Alfred Enoch, who plays Dean Thomas. They host the proceedings, and we get to see all different members of the cast, the kids, talk to different members of the crew. So Daniel Radcliffe talks to the editor about how editing is done. We get to see an outtake, which is pretty funny. What else is there? There's Emma Watson speaks to the makeup lady. We get to see like a big card that they made for Emma Watson on her 18th birthday. We get to see you know, people who train the animals. We get to see the costume designer, and they're all kind of interviewed by you know, the kids who run the film. Rupert Grint does some kind of stunt training with the stunt team. It's a really good little fun kind of little featurette, I guess. And Matthew Lewis and Alfie Enoch are actually quite funny in presenting it. It's quite cool. Then we have 1-minute drills. This is 7 minutes long. The main kind of young cast members, they do like lots of kind of, they have to sum up their character from film 1 to 6 and, you know, where their journey has gone. It's pretty useless, to be honest, but fun nonetheless to see them have a bit of fun with it. Then we have What's on Your Mind. This is hosted really effortlessly by Tom Felton. He's great at presenting. He kind of presents just a series of rapid fire questions from, again, the main young members of the cast on their likes and dislikes, you know, from food to you know, famous people and where they'd like to go and stuff. It's really cool, funny, and interesting. Again, around 7 minutes long. Then we have The Wizarding World of Harry Potter, a sneak peek look at the big, huge kind of theme park they made in Orlando in 2010. That's around 12 minutes long, and this is before it was kind of built, so we just kind of get to see concept stuff and the cast talk about how cool it's going to be and that kind of thing. Then we have first footage from Deathly Hallows, which is a 2-minute clip. Just some of the producers and the director David Yates talking about Deathly Hallows, and then we see like a kind of a brief few clips from the film. Then we have the deleted scenes, and altogether these amount to 7 minutes of footage. We have Harry and Hermione walking through the halls of Hogwarts. It's just an extended shot. Harry and Hermione discussing the Marauders map. Harry mentions how, you know, Malfoy disappears from the map, and she says, well, that's impossible, he can't be leaving Hogwarts. Harry, Ron and Hermione discuss the Vanishing Cabinet, again just further kind of Malfoy stuff, you know. That was a cool little one. Harry and Professor Dumbledore arrive at the cave entrance, extended little scene where Dumbledore kind of, again, as I said earlier, talks a bit about that, how the cave is personal to Tom Riddle. Harry and Dumbledore leave the cave. Again, this is one of the things I wish they kept in. It's they're leaving the cave, you know, Dumbledore's weak, and Harry says, he says, don't worry, we're going to get out of here. And Dumbledore says, you know, I'm not worried, I'm with you. And that was just a line that got me in the books. But in the books, they're kind of swimming out, and Harry's kind of like holding Dumbledore and swimming with him, and it was just a really great scene, and they should have kept that in, I think. Clouds gather over Hogwarts as Professor Flitwick conducts his choir. If you remember the choir scene in Prisoner of Azkaban, similar to that, he's conducting a choir, and there's this really ominous kind of clouds gathering over Hogwarts, and we get to see Snape kind of looking out ominously, and this is all before the end of the film. It's a really great scene. It's almost 2 minutes. They really should have kept that in. It was a great mood builder. I guess it might have broken up kind of the pace of the cave scene. Then Harry joins Ron, Hermione and Ginny in Gryffindor common room. Just a really short scene where they're just like, oh, it's Harry. And finally Harry and Hermione discuss Ron at the astronomy tower. This is extended from the last scene of the film, where Harry's just like, you know, if you're going to come with me, you know, on the Deathly Hallows, better not be snogging each other all the time. And she's like, oh, that's not going to happen, you know. So just kind of, that's just kind of blatantly pointing out the fact that they like each other, I guess. And it's just occurred to me now, as well as the maximum movie mode for this film, and there's the focus points again. The focus points, which are really good. There's only about 40 minutes of them for this film, as opposed to the hour's worth of featurettes for Order of the Phoenix. But all very good. Most of them are around the cave sequence, which is really good and interesting to see how they approach that and the visual effects side of it. And then we got some interstitials, which are kind of like TV spots. 5 minutes in total. We got one about the story, Love is in the Air, Meet Professor Slughorn, an introduction to his character, the story of Tom Riddle, and the comedy of this film. And then this whole package is rounded off by the trailers. We've got 8 minutes of them. There's quite a lot on this Blu-ray. We got the teaser trailer, which I fondly remember. I remember losing my shit when I saw this, because it was just like the scene between Dumbledore and Tom Riddle when he was a kid in the orphanage. I was like, oh, this is going to be awesome. This is when I believe it was going to be released in July, and I think they changed it to November or something of 2009. Then we have theatrical trailer 3A. Then we have theatrical trailer 4B. And then we have theatrical trailer number 5. I don't know why they felt they needed to list it like that if they weren't going to include all of them, but there you go, seems a bit random to me. Some good trailers, you know, all three of them are very similar. As a matter of fact, the last two are exactly the same in length, so I think it's just a matter of a few different shots, you know, and that's it really. So there you go, fantastic amount of features for this film. Really great film, enjoy it a lot. Of course, I've always got my problems with them, but that just always goes with the Harry Potter films with me, really. But I do love them, and Half-Blood Prince to me is great because it blends the darkness that is to come with a lot of light-hearted moments, and especially like Ron as well when he gets poisoned with the love potion. That's fantastic stuff. Really, really funny. Okay, here is the cover, the book for Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. This might be my favourite design of all 8 of them. This is just really cool, and it fits in perfectly with the story and everything. So we got the cauldron there, the potions, and lots of kind of scribblings and things that Harry would have found in the Half-Blood Prince's copy of the potions book. Really cool. It just works so well, I think. On the back, quite plain, but nonetheless. I wonder what all these symbols are. You know, they're just completely random. And then the spine there. This is also a thinner book, Year 6, because this has again 3 pages, just like Order of the Phoenix. So inside the movie should be there. There I am, and that's the artwork there. Continues on the inside, and again, even this just looks. This is the best kind of inlay page of all of them, I think, because you know, again, it fits with the theme. You got the cauldron pot there. You got the scribblings. It's just brilliant. So we got maximum movie mode, and yeah. The next one is this, the DVD copy of the movie. Got Harry and Dumbledore there, pivotal scene at the end of the film. And then finally we have the Creating the World bonus Blu-ray. Magical effects. And all of these extras. So yeah, Half-Blood Prince. I think this is my favourite design. Really love it. I don't know when the next 2 parts are going to be when I discuss the Deathly Hallows Part 1 and 2. But hopefully very soon. Thank you for watching.